Steve O in studio.
Yeah, dude, it's been a while, man. A little bit since I saw you.
Always good to catch up with our friend Steve O. We got some news coming up. We'll tell you more about what's coming up. But first, Steve O. Steve O's got a stand-up special called Steve O's Bucket List, and you can order it now at steveo.com. Shot in London. La-dee-da.
The live portion of the show is shot in London. It's a multimedia affair. And the items on the bucket list are wildly explicit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an exercise in doing things that Jackass would not let me do.
They would not let you do.
Yeah.
Because?
Because some of it is flagrantly illegal. Some of it is XXX rated.
Oh, okay.
Like, I had a medical professional administer stolen general anesthesia drugs while I was riding a bicycle. I had another medical professional give me stolen epidural drugs.
Sorry, hold on. Watch it. Chris pointed Dawson, but he can't. Shut the mic off, Dawson. I think that's what Chris reacting to.
I heard him.
There's no mic on in here.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Well, we could hear something coming through, so maybe it was something else.
There we go.
Sorry.
Not to worry,
Medical
man.
professional. Sorry.
Yep. I did an epidural foot race with stolen epidural drugs injected into my spinal cavity to paralyze me while I was in a full sprint.
How'd that turn out?
That one was fantastic. I mean, I was on the ground sobbing. I was so overjoyed that I had managed to raise the bar.
So accomplished.
Yeah.
I heard people passed out, or
Yeah.
they pass out when they see these
Yeah,
things.
we taped the special 2 shows in one night. And at the early show, 5 people passed out. And at the late show, 3 people passed out. And this is just because the videos that I played during the show knocked. The main culprit is it's called the vasectomy Olympics.
Oh, boy. Now I'm going to pass out. Yeah.
Enjoy your solo podcast, Steve-O.
Steve, I was just talking to my young son, and I can't remember how it came up. I mean, my son's 17, and I said something like, "Oh yeah, my kids don't know jack squat about me or my career, hopes, dreams, loves. They don't share any of them. They don't know any. But every once in a while I have to go. I used to do a late night show, and they go, "You did a late night show?" So I said, "Yeah." And then my son said, "Oh, was it that one where Steve O put his foot through the coffee table?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was the one." And then he goes, "Oh yeah, all my friends know that one."
Epic.
Now he doesn't know anything else. He knows that episode. When we were done with that infamous episode. By the way, I'm always prescient, I think is the word I'm looking for. The Comedy Central executive, young woman, rushed up to me and said, "What are we going to do? We got to do another show. What show are we releasing tonight?" And I said, "This show." And she said, "We can't release a show where Steve-O was shit-faced drunk and put his foot through the coffee table."
Incoherent.
And I said, "It'll be the only thing anyone remembers about this show." And then 18 years later, I'm with my son and his friends. It's like, I don't know anything about that show, but I do know this one episode, which was my prediction. And I knew we'd be there.
I remember. I don't remember anything because I was in a complete blackout for the taping of that show. I woke up in my bed at home, covered in blood. There was all kinds of blood in the bed and all over me, and it just kind of came back to me what I had been up to that day. And I woke up just in time for the show to actually air, and I so sheepishly and just scared turned on the TV and kind of looking through cracks in my fingers at what, and once it got done airing, I kind of thought, well, that wasn't so bad. That was cool.
Yeah. Again, it's the only thing my son and his young friends know of that show. Now,
How often did you feel shame during that time?
That was in 2005
Right.
when we filmed that show. And it was very deliberate. You know, I went in with the game plan. I'm going to get drunk and see like how high of a score I can blow on a breathalyzer. I ended up breaking the breathalyzer, as I recall. You know, it
With
just,
your foot?
No, I think I broke it with my breath. You know, so it was kind of the what was intended to happen. I didn't even really consider it like a dark time. And 2005 really wasn't too bad. I mean, yeah, it was, but it was 2007. And then 2008, that's kind of when the wheels had fallen off and all the shame had really set in.
And what year did you get sober?
2008.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
15 years.
15 years.
Congratulations,
Thank
man.
you, man.
It's amazing.
It's a blessing for which I'm profoundly grateful.
Right, because people say like if you want to get sober, you have to want to get sober. Do you believe that?
Johnny Knoxville has to tie you up
Yeah,
and drag
right.
you in a
Yeah, all your
van
friends have
somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think there are a lot of people who want to be sober but aren't willing, you know, to do the work. I just somehow became like just blessed with the willingness to do the work. I kind of consider sobriety a little bit like a cake. You know, you can want to make a cake, but until you get the ingredients and actually take the action, there's not going to be a cake. So really, sobriety is for people who do the stuff that sober people do.
Did you replace that with something else, which is a lot of people...
Yeah.
A lot of people get off stuff and then they get into tattoos and they get really into tattooing, or they get into skydiving, or they get into some other thing where they can sort of prove that they're alive. You know, it gets replaced. Sex,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. That like I got into a sort of an addiction whack-a-mole where once I had some kind of stability in my chemical sobriety, it was just wildly acting out sexually.
I figured that from you.
Yeah, I started touring comedy clubs in 2010, and at the end of every show, I said, I'm going to take a photo with every single person in the audience who wants one. The philosophy of that was to send as many people as possible home with a photo that they could post on their social media and let everybody know that they were pleasantly surprised that Steve-O's comedy wasn't that bad. And the other purpose was, it was a glorified audition to find somebody to act out with. And as I approached 40 years old, I thought, man, this really isn't it. This isn't the path to happiness.
What was the move when you found a candidate?
Oh, when I found the candidate, you know, we would exchange info, like you know, some kind of a, you know, an exchange of phone numbers. I think the go-to for me would be to try to not give my phone number, but get the candidate's phone number and then call the candidate's phone number from the hotel room phone.
Was it a that night kind of action?
Oh yeah, it would have to be. It would have to. I mean, comedy clubs are there all weekend, so maybe it would be the next night. But yeah, I would be looking for a quick conversion.
How many of those candidates showed up with their husband or boyfriend? To the show, at least.
There was some of that. There was some of that. I remember one was distinctly with the boyfriend, and I did the exchange of phone numbers right there in front of the dude. Yeah, it wasn't good. Not good behavior. And
But you still banged her, right?
that one ended up being an import situation.
How's that work?
She said that, you know, oh, actually, you know, with my boyfriend, this kind of just doesn't work. And then she went home. I went home. I ended up flying her in the import program.
Ah, I see. She had to pass customs.
Yeah, that one came in from Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, so she did have to pass customs.
Because, so there was sexual acting out.
Yeah, and
Is there worries about Me Too?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. I think I've been.
Nobody thinks so. No, but you were sober. I think
I was sober at that time. Yeah.
I think the difference is if you weren't sober during this sexual acting out phase of your life, you'd have a lot of question marks, like what did I do, or what did I say,
Right.
or whatever it
Right.
is. But you were fully sober.
Yeah, I just think that for sure, sobriety was helpful. Yeah, I don't know. I know that.
So what made you stop acting out sexually?
Yeah, it was well before the Me Too movement. I would say it was 2012, 2013 when I made a decision that I wasn't going to act out anymore. And I just couldn't stop. It was this just textbook powerlessness. And I ended up getting into therapy around it. The therapist suggested I go to an outpatient rehab program.
For sex?
For sex, yeah. So I went to a sex addict rehab, and then I came out of that.
You went to fucking A? Used to be an old joke of mine.
That's great. And I took it really seriously, man. They recommended a period of celibacy to be like 30 to 90 days or so. And I kind of stuntified the whole thing and actually did not blow a load for 431 days.
Really?
Yeah.
I wish I was there on the 432nd day.
I took a photo.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You have to document this.
I took a photo of my tummy.
What? Oh.
And I sent the photo to my men's therapy group, as well as the therapist, who was a woman, and everybody was just horrified with me.
Wait, all right, hold on. Let me just see if I can get this straight. So, I mean, just like with substances, they go,
Yeah.
look, you got to stop drinking.
Right.
Right. So, but you can't ever stop having sex.
Yeah, you're not gonna cease to be a sexual being.
Right. And they have that same situation goes with Overeaters Anonymous.
Exactly.
You can't
which
cease
is my new thing.
eating. Oh, is that your new thing? All right, we'll get into that. But so no sex for 30, 45 days, 60 days, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what their beat-off policy is.
Well, with sex addiction, each addict will define what sobriety is for them. So for one addict, porno could be perfectly fine. For another one, it's super destructive and has to be stopped. And the way that sobriety will be defined is with what's called a circle program, where
Glad you said program.
you establish what's red light behavior. Red light behavior constitutes a relapse.
Yeah. So
Yellow light, slippery, be careful, but not a relapse. Green light, healthy behavior to be encouraged.
yeah, it has to be more nuanced than no more
Yeah.
booze for you or
Right.
stop slamming heroin.
Right.
But you still haven't really explained the beat-off
Okay.
policy, although that can vary from person to
That's
person.
exactly.
Right.
Like some people have
That wasn't your thing.
it was in the beginning because I defined it that, and you'll change things as you go. You'll work in consultation with a therapist or a sponsor, a mentor, and define your recovery. And if you're in a celibacy period, then that means beating off is red light behavior.
So
You know?
nothing, and you went 431?
Yeah, they'll even have a masturbation plan where you say, okay, I can beat off, but not more than 3 times a week. You know?
Right, yeah.
And then you got like a dating plan. So I took it all very, very seriously. My mantra was that I was doing the work to become the man that the love of my life deserves.
You know, when I was like 22, we had a few roommates, like living in North Hollywood, and we went full Seinfeld episode, but this was 1985, 1986. No beating off. We're gonna figure out who could make it the longest.
Yeah.
And we had a shirt made up, and it said cold jerky on it, and then there was a number underneath it, like who won with how many days. So I dropped out almost immediately. I just like I might be able to make it to whatever double digits, but if I just drop out now, I'll just cave. Fuck it. I dropped out, but it became between 2 guys, and they really had a battle. And at some point, one of the guys, a little guy, he got the number of days screwed up. What happened was one guy had set the date at like 22 days. And the other guy screwed up the math, and he was my roommate, and he came home from work. And he goes, I go, what are you doing tonight? And he goes, what am I doing tonight? I'm beating off. I just beat the record. And I was like, you didn't. Carl still got 3 days. And he threw me against the wall. It was a small guy, had the power of like an elephant. He threw me against the wall. And he's like, don't bullshit me. And I was like, I'm done. I'm telling you, you got 3 more days. He had it all
Terrible news.
planned out, but 431?
Can we talk about that day 431?
I can relate to the irritability. I was very grumpy for the entire. I did not blow a load for the entire year of 2014. And the actual first load was very underwhelming. I remember it being more watery than I was used to.
Well, why did you decide to do it that day? Was that the goal?
It had come to a point where I recognized that it was that I had just shifted into what's called sexual anorexia, and that it was really not. It wasn't healthy at that point. Like I was stuntifying it. I was making it like
it turned into its own creature.
Yeah, right. And my intention was to prove to myself and to my future partner, who I knew I had not yet met, that I could do that. You know, like
so no sex, no anything for that period of time.
Having such a checkered past, I really wanted to sort of compensate in such a manner that I could demonstrate to myself and to a future partner that I really could change.
You're like a whore who found Jesus Christ and was going to be baptized this weekend.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, except baptizing happens on one day, and I did 431 days.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I had a couple misfires with relationships that weren't, you know, compatible. And then I met who is now my fiance in January of 2017.
Man, so she got the good version of you.
Yeah. So we've been together for almost 7 years. And that's a sexually sober Steve-O.
So
congratulations.
After you dropped your first rusty load, after 400 some odd days,
respect.
You then took a picture of it.
Yeah. Sent it to a group text with the female therapist on it, which did not go over well with the group.
And the caption, "Clean up aisle me." And
yeah.
And what was their reaction to
They
it?
were just horrified that you know, it just was like this is a men's therapy group which focused on sexual sobriety. The therapist was a woman, and it just wasn't appropriate. You know, like it's like don't
You didn't. But I would have thought, why doesn't he have enough insight into this process to avoid this?
Yeah, I would look at it as like graduation.
Right. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. Nobody was like, you know, trying to levy consequences or anything.
Was there dick in the shot?
No, there was not.
Oh, okay,
It was
so
just
it was tastefully done.
It was just my tummy.
Okay.
Yeah, no dick in the shot. But yeah, you know what? Like with with chemical sobriety, all the drugs and alcohol. God, I just wasted so much time and made so many mistakes and just created wreckage and all that. And to get past that frees up a lot of time. But then with all the chasing girls around, again, huge time suck, lots of shame, lots of just not feeling good about who you are. And then now for the last almost 7 years, I've had virtually no distractions. Like, just been focused on what I want to accomplish, and I've got this great partner who helps me.
Who's your fiance?
Who is my fiance? Her name is Lux.
Yeah,
she's a production designer. She works in the business.
She had a big role in the special.
Yeah,
right?
she did. And this multimedia special, Steve-O's Bucket List. These forbidden stunts that I described, which pay off each bit, like after each bit, you see the video of the stunt. And the stunts are presented in descending order of my fiance's approval and support. So in the beginning, she's gung ho, like participating, facilitating, you know, really into it. Gradually, she's less into it. Then she stops showing up, and then she's not showing up and having a real problem. By the end, like, we're navigating real conflict in our relationship.
Because of the danger of it? Or?
The danger was a factor. But the biggest conflict was over a stunt, a skydiving stunt, where, I mean, this was just so absurd. I said that skydiving is something that normal people do, and for me to do it, 20 years ago, I pledged that I would have to be butt naked with another man strapped to my back and vigorously jacking off to completion with timing such that as I exited the airplane, I was ejaculating with a man strapped to my back. Very ambitious.
Did you photograph it and send it to the group?
I didn't send it to the group, but the coverage was unbelievable. And it was a little bit weird because while it's not red light behavior for me, porno, I just I stopped watching porno years ago. And, but in this case,
You needed it.
Work is work.
Understood.
So I had a portable DVD player in the airplane. There's this very small airplane packed with dudes. Which reminds me, when you said that, you were talking about the contest you had with your buddies in the 80s. I had the exact opposite contest when we did the gumball rally, where you had all the
car rally.
Yeah, the car rally with the rich people and the fancy cars, and we did. It was a Jackass TV show. We filmed it in 2001, and my buddy Chris Pontius and I were in the back seat of this car. We had an actual contest to see who could blow the most loads, like during the actual rally. The rules were the car had to be full of dudes and in motion. You couldn't sneak one out.
Right.
You couldn't sneak one out at a rest stop alone in the car.
Yeah,
and we ended up tied 4 loads apiece.
And what period of time?
5 days.
Oh, okay, that's
That's
solid.
pretty solid. Yeah, we were outraged that the footage didn't make the cut.
So that's your art, man. They
Especially
tampered with
you
your
should have
art.
went by volume because the number of loads.
It's very, very difficult to go by volume.
Especially moving that fast with the windows open.
Yeah.
So you were supposed to hit climax while jumping out of the
Correct.
plane.
Yeah. The idea was to pass the point of no return. At which point I give the sign, which means get out of the airplane and just be just on the way out of the airplane. Because the coverage of the climax, if I was actually in free fall, would be more difficult to capture. And just kind of like falling out while I'm blasting. It worked really well because there was a camera mounted on the outside of the plane, which I effectively clobbered.
Really?
Yeah.
It was behind you.
Yeah. I mean, I got my pull-out game was strong. I got my wiener out into the wind and blah.
Wow.
Jackass said no to that?
And you had a cameraman, right?
Yeah, there was a guy strapped to my back. There was another guy jumped.
With the camera?
Jumped. Just a filmer falling with
I'm
us.
just thinking about that guy because, 2 months earlier, he was working with Tom Cruise on Mission Impossible 3. You know what I mean? It's like one of the acclaimed aerial photographers. Now he's dodging a load from Steve-O in a Cessna.
The opening sequence, I always make a big deal out of an opening sequence, and it's very Mission Impossible-esque.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, that is the ultimate Mission Impossible.
Bill Burr is a helicopter pilot.
I have heard that, yeah.
And my vision for the opening sequence was to be on a rooftop with a huge helicopter dropping a rope ladder, which I grab with my bare hands and I'm whisked off into the sky and crashed through various things and then let go of the rope ladder to land on the roof of a moving tour bus and then have the bus deliver me to the show.
Right.
And Bill Burr agreed to be in the bit as the helicopter pilot.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's there.
Candidly, the stunt happened on one day, and then we filmed insert shots with
Right.
Bill Burr later. But it was so meaningful.
That's cool.
Yeah, to have like Bill Burr sign off on my comedy was really meaningful.
That's a
Yeah, of
get,
course.
man.
Yeah.
All right, we should take a break. We got a lot more to get into with Steve-O, and we'll do that right after this. Let me tell you about Angie Homeowners. You know, it's a lot of work to own a home. Whether it's everyday maintenance, repairs, or dream projects, it can be hard to even know where to start. All you need is Angie, your home for everything home. Find a skilled local pro who will deliver quality and experience. Over 20 years of home service experience. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app. Answer a few questions and Angie handles the rest. Look, you're busy. You don't have time to do all this stuff. Let Angie handle it. Take care of just about any home project in just a few taps. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit online. Visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com. ANGI.com. That's Angie. Let them do all the heavy lifting.
The Adam Carolla Show presents Steve-O's birthday cocktail party for June 13th. Let's see who's invited. Let's welcome the First Lady, Martha Washington. Here's American mathematician, the subject of the movie A Beautiful Mind, John Nash. From A Clockwork Orange, Malcolm McDowell is here. And in this corner, it's world heavyweight champion out of Gainesville, Texas, Mike Weaver. I guess it's tool time because Tim Allen just showed up. Ali Sheedy is here. Singer-songwriter David Gray just walked through the door. From Weezer, it's Rivers Cuomo. Here's Captain America, Chris Evans. And now it's a party. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Steve-O is on the Adam Carolla Show.
Wow, that's a murderer's row, man. That's
cool.
one of the best birthdays we've ever done on this show. We've done a lot of them, so congrats.
Congratulations.
Very cool. The beginning of the list was all news to me.
Yeah. All right, tell me, am I a douche or am I not a douche for this one?
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. Now, we're doing this show before the holiday weekend, but my daughter is going out of town, and she's going to Chicago. And I said to her last night, how you getting to the airport, LAX?
Got it.
And she said, my boyfriend's dropping me off, and he's parking, and he's coming in. And I said, I don't think he should do that. And she said, why? And I said, well, it's going to be a clusterfuck. The airport's going to be a clusterfuck. But L.A., they rape your ass raw at that parking. I didn't say that. But I said,
Right.
they fucking rape you. You could park for 45 minutes and come back, and it's $29, because they know what they're doing. They do this 24-hour thing, but it's not incrementally 24 hours. The
Right.
big hit comes in the first 2 hours, and then they back it off after that. But I was like, it's not like the old movies where you're going to be walking her up to the plane and kissing her goodbye. You get stopped at baggage. Like, she's got to check a bag.
And you gotta
You're
be
not going to make it
ticketing.
up the escalator.
Yeah.
There's going to be tons of people rolling around and banging into you. It's going to take you 40 minutes to park the car and find a space and then get back. I was like, I appreciate the effort, but don't do it. And she was like, "Oh, thanks a lot," And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm pragmatic." And then this morning, he came over, and I was like driving to the airport. Yeah, he's like walking her to the terminal. I was like, "Yeah," I'm like, I don't think you should do it.
Same speech?
My daughter started yelling, "Thanks a lot," and I was like, "I'm just saying, I don't know what you think you're going to be doing in the airport, but there's nothing."
Right.
There's just a bunch of people in kiosks and people banging into each other and
Yeah.
dragging luggage around. It's not a romantic setting.
I think you tried. You already tried with her. You got to let her make the mistake.
strongly
Douche or not?
not a douche.
Okay.
And I'll take it a step further. We have a policy in my home that it's just plain stupid to even drive to the airport in the first place. You get a car service.
Yeah, you Uber or whatever.
You get an Uber because let's be realistic. There's nowhere in LA that you're going to get to LAX in less than ballpark an hour.
Right.
And then the person who drives there has to drive another hour to get back.
Right.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
We've got better things to do with our time than spend 2 hours driving to
Well,
the airport.
a lot of it. So, look, flowers are stupid, and so is jewelry. That's the point. They like stupid. They crave stupid. They need stupid. You can't get them a cordless drill. That's practical. A blood diamond is stupid. Flowers that'll die in 3 days are stupid. The whole point with women is they need you to do stupid shit. A picnic where you like picked the daisies yourself and made the sandwich. It's all stupid. They want calories burned in the stupid department to prove it to them.
All right. Well, then by that measure, you're not a douche for being practical, and they can be stupid and let that currency thrive.
Also, as I was yelling at with Chris, and I said it on the show years ago, but technology, we're there now. Can we get an airport cam? Can we get a camera at the end of the horseshoe at LAX that just faces back towards Sepulveda so we can see if it's going to be a total clusterfuck or light?
Like a live stream, yeah.
A live stream. Because I have been to the airport like Sunday night at midnight at LAX, and it's been packed. And I'm always saying to the person, what the fuck? It's midnight. Like, why is this place packed? And I've been there Friday at 10 a.m. and no one's there. And I'm always going, what the fuck? But if you had that information, like sometimes you're pulling up and you turn off at Sepulveda and you turn up and you go, oh, shit. It's a traffic jam. Oh, fuck. We didn't plan on this. Is going to take an extra half hour. We didn't plan on this yet. Why can't we have this information?
I just wonder if it would actually help because maybe the coast is clear and you think, oh, good, I'll leave another 30 minutes late, but then that changes.
All I would do is if it was I would check in like an hour and a half before I was supposed to leave. And if it was a clusterfuck, I would just go, we got to leave now. I didn't know the airport was going to be this. Now, holidays, it's going to be a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
So
I have a
But do we not have this technology? Is what I'm saying.
The technology exists.
I mean, sure, we have it for.
Why don't they do it?
They do it for surfing.
Surfing.
They do it for.
They do it for an owl's nest.
Yeah, we look at bird eggs.
Yeah, the condor. We'll put a camera on it, and you can pop it up on your laptop and check out what the condor's doing.
Yeah, my policy is departure time. I want the car service at my house 3 hours before departure time.
Oh, wow.
What the fuck? International?
Hey, this is the new and improved Steve-O.
Oh,
He's on
shit.
time,
I mean,
he's punctual.
I just,
3 hours before?
and then I'll feel perfectly comfortable letting the driver sit there for 20 to 30 minutes maybe.
Oh, all right. That's a douche move. Come on.
But
Just get
also
him when
think
you need
about it.
him.
He doesn't have anxiety.
Yeah.
That you probably get when you leave a lot later.
Yeah, it's true. We do it to ourselves. They always send the drivers early, and I always have anxiety when they're waiting, even if they got there early, because I feel like, oh, they're here now. But you'll do that for within our own country, not international travel.
I tend to fly in the morning, so yeah, like I just hate the anxiety of like, am I gonna miss my flight?
Sure.
I don't want it.
You're right.
Like I go to the lounge, I get things done. Like
That's my New Year's resolution. Stop cutting it so close.
Yeah,
for me.
for sure.
I like
All
it.
right, you're right.
You said technology, and I remember recently somebody asking, do you know what the definition of the word technology is? Fascinating. It just means not natural, made by man.
Oh.
Anything that's not that's made by man, that's the definition of technology. Isn't that great?
Yeah, we never thought about it.
Yeah.
All right, so back to other other issues.
Well, actually,
wrote
I have
down.
a question because we were talking about your sobriety. So
Yeah.
I grew up watching you guys. I mean, like it's a generational thing. Like I mean, you're big part of my generation. And I was checking. I was want to know if you have you talked to Bam at all? Like what's going on with him? Because I keep seeing reports that he's sober now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That or he has to wear an ankle monitor and he can work outside of.
He's got the ankle monitor off, as I understand it, but I've lost contact with him. We aren't in communication, and I've relayed to him through other people, like messages, a couple messages, and it's come back very distinctly and clearly that he's not mad at me. He's not, but we're just not in touch.
Didn't he put out like a diss track or something?
Yeah,
Like,
there was that, and we're all good.
Oh, good.
From what I understand, we're all good. And
Well, how good can you be if he doesn't
Right.
want to talk?
exactly, that's true.
but you're
So
saying like ball's
that's a
kind of
good-
in his court.
Yeah,
as far as-
and I'm not, I'm not even really worried about it. I'm not. I understand that he is distinctly clean and sober, and I attribute that to his impending criminal case, which would have grave consequences involving being in a jail cell if he were not to be clean and sober.
Oh,
So, and a court situation is very helpful for a lot of people to begin a journey of recovery. I think that, with that said, though, until there's some accountability, like as long as it's everybody else's fault and it's like the whole blame game, and you can't acknowledge or take responsibility for your situation, then I think any kind of sobriety is tenuous and temporary.
Yeah.
That's just my belief.
Sure.
So yeah, I wish him well. Hopefully the nudge from the judge gets the ball rolling, and then some traction happens.
What's his court case?
It's it's only misdemeanors, but the court is very hip to the situation, and not having any sense of humor for more public intoxication and domestic disputes stuff. But the actual charges are for an assault on his brother
Yeah.
and terroristic threats. I think that there was a little period there where he was very comfortable expressing a desire to, quote, put a bullet in your head, or in maybe in the third person.
Right.
So I don't know. This is all alleged, of
Sure.
course, and all anybody wants is for him to be happy and healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely rooting for
Everybody
him,
is.
of course.
And it's never too late. That's one thing that we know for sure about alcoholism and addiction.
Right.
Not only is it never too late, but the worse it gets, the better your chances are for getting better.
Do you foresee a future of him rejoining Jackass, like if it went like maybe in the next one?
I can't imagine there being another Jackass.
Oh, really?
I have a lot, but then again, I never would have imagined there would be that fourth one.
Right.
I mean, after 10 years of no Jackass, all of a sudden Knoxville's like, yeah, I'm ready to go, guys.
It was so great, by the way. But yeah,
Well, thank you. At this point, especially given Knoxville with that last bowl, and I mean, he had a brain bleed, and
Yeah.
and it was kind of a passing of the torch, I thought, though.
it was. And if there's more Jackass, that's great, because people love it.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenon.
I mean, you're
People
still
love
doing
it.
stunts, so it feels
Yeah.
like it's a possibility.
I'm doing stunts, but man, my body's starting to really, like 1 week from today, I'm going in for knee surgery. I've got degenerative disc disease in my neck, which is like, kind of not good.
Of course.
I've got arthritis in my shoulder, and I don't even know that any of this is particularly because of stunts. I think I'm just
It
kind of
seems.
genetic
I'll tell you what. It does seem kind of random sometimes.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a lot of guys who made it through 15 years of football and are fine, and then there are others that are just, oh, I'm jacked up because I used to lift weights when I was in high school or something. It seems not always connected to the activity. But speaking of stunts, somebody forwarded me this really interesting stunt from James Bond that I remember when I was a kid. And you want to talk about like an analog stunt. I mean, all stunts used to be super analog. Now there's a lot of CGI and computers and stuff like this. But this, I never really knew the story of this stunt. And I'm wondering if Steve-O in his youth would have tried this one. I imagine you would have. But it's the story of the guy, Roger Moore gets put onto this little island, miniature island. When I say island, I mean 10-foot by 10-foot pad in the middle of a crocodile, alligator infested pond. And they all come up on him. And the big stunt with the movie is he runs across the top of the backs of the alligators to get to safety.
Yeah.
And I saw it when I was a little kid, and I thought it was cool, but I stopped thinking about it after that. And somebody forwarded me this little 5-minute docu-series on it. And the guy, not Roger Moore, but his stuntman, actually did it. Like,
this wasn't even his stuntman. This was the crocodile farm owner.
Right. The guy who owned the crocodile farm, whose dad was eaten by crocodile, did the stunt where he ran over the back of 3. He used 3. So he's on this island that's 10 foot by 10 foot. He's got to run 15 feet, and he's going to step on the back of 3 crocodiles.
Yeah, there
to
was a
get
video
across.
game. There was a video game called Pitfall. I think that you did that.
Yeah, so we'll show it to you. I think there's some narration here. It's kind of crazy.
We now present all 5 of Ross Kananga's attempts at the death-defying stunt.
He did it 5 times. So he ran across. All right, so here's the whole thing. You can pause it for a second. So the whole thing about James Bond is he was smooth. And I would have taken the first take, which is you made it across safely, but James Bond couldn't even splash water on a sport coat. And the first one, he kind of tripped at the end and grabbed the island, safety on his belly. But they needed him running across smoothly and to keep running.
It needs to be clean. Maybe fixes his cufflinks at the end or something.
And the gators are those are gators.
But they're not trainable like dogs. How did they get them to stay there?
I gave this some thought.
Okay.
They're not trainable like dogs, but this is 1973, and no one gives a fuck about gators.
Okay,
so
tie them up.
I'm sure they just kind of held them. They just kind of lashed them down to where they are. Now they're spread out about 3 foot apart, just a good length for you to step on them.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Now he tries it again.
Best one so far.
Well, that's his first one, I think.
Oh, it was. Okay.
As he's about to jump, the crocodiles all do this because they're saying, here comes that guy again. They'd seen the act twice, and so they're waiting for the jump.
They knew it was coming now.
They're anticipating. Oh, shit.
Oh, now they're all up and he's in between them. The wardrobe department had to be pretty bummed out, too.
Yeah, this gets distinctly more difficult.
He ended up with 153 stitches. That's got his foot in the mouth of one of the crocs. Now,
193 stitches.
Oh, 193, sorry.
First, Ross Kananga defies death for a 5th time.
So wait.
He tries it for a 5th time. Wow. Steps on all their backs.
Lands it.
And keeps running. That's a crazy-ass analog stunt.
Wow.
With Steve-O at his drunkest, try it.
First, let me just get some clarity here. He had 193 stitches and then came back on another day? Or?
I think so. I mean, the guy works at Okefenokee Swamp. His dad was eaten by an alligator. He's not a puss.
Right. I mean, just the fact that he
is wounded.
yeah,
That was pretty balls out. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say no, that I wouldn't have done that at any time. It reminds me of the first Jackass movie where there was a stunt I did called Alligator Tightrope, where there was an alligator pit, and my job was to walk a tightrope over the alligator pit. Everybody assumed because I'm a trained circus professional and career circus clown that I knew how to walk a tightrope, but I didn't, and so it was evident that I was going to fall, but. Even back in 2002, when this was filmed, there would have been a big problem with me landing on an alligator. That would have been like PETA, animal rights. So it became clear that I was going to fall, but that I had the ability to catch the tightrope.
From underneath, yeah.
Yeah, and candidly, when I'm hanging from the tightrope and I'm gonna let go and fall into the alligator pit, they made sure that I was not gonna land on an alligator. Mm-hmm. And then they put the chicken in my jock strap, and the alligator ate the chicken out of my jock strap. Now, the reality is that I showed up that day assuming that my job was to get bitten by an alligator. Mm-hmm. And in the end, I did not get bitten by an alligator. And it was this iconic classic bit. So it was kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I would have a tough time imagining, I mean, it's a non-starter because you're not going to step on an alligator just from an animal rights perspective on film. And even if...
Well, and back in 73, when all the rules are gone.
Right. Let's assume that there were no rules. Man, I'd have a tough time picturing myself doing that.
Well, that's honest. I like that.
Yeah, I have a tough time thinking that I would go for that.
Yeah, this guy was a badass, and they must have lashed him down, and they must have put him in shallow water, so they can't be in 4 foot of water because it's going to flatten out. Yeah. It's gonna drop down. So
very cool though, man. I'm very. I never heard of that. I never seen that. Really enjoyed that.
It's pretty quietly badass. And it's a stunt that probably lasts under 3 seconds, but it's still a crazy, hairy stunt. And it's also kind of funny that the alligators, who are just crazed 200 million year old reptiles, still catch on. Yeah. Like they're on his third attempt, they're just waiting. Like they know they've seen this movie before.
Right.
And then also, shout out to whoever the guy was who kept him in place, like who lashed him down or did that. That can't be an easy.
Who staged them.
easy job. Yeah, but that was they also. It was kind of cool back in the day, like in the analog stunt days, which is sort of my feeling with like Vin Diesel's driving his Dodge Charger down the side of a dam. Now a rocket explodes. Like he's not driving a car down the side of a dam. You know, Bond. I don't know if it may have been this one, or if not, it was a '70s Bond. He did the car barrel roll. He did the bridges out, drove the car, barrel rolled it in the air, got completely inverted, and came back around and landed on all 4 tires too. Which is like old school, analog.
Practical.
Stunts unlimited. Yes.
I mean, Buster Keaton was really the king of all that stuff.
The pratfalls. What about Tom Cruise? Isn't he getting really known for his Mission Impossible, crazy, big budget.
Crazy.
Blockbuster
Crazy.
stunts?
And who, these days, first off, who's going to tell Tom Cruise no? I just don't think that he's heard that word in 17 years now.
If you want to do this, they might let him.
I got a follow-up apropos of nothing, but somebody finally helped me, a doctor. So during the worst period of my life, when I say period, I mean several months. It wasn't like several years, but it was a very bad, dark, down period for me. Now, I didn't do like, the ones where it was like the rock star that was on heroin who couldn't find love. My shit was just basically old school, broke ass, nothing's working out. Old school, poor, bottomed out problems,
Okay, so this is a long, long time ago that you're talking
This
about.
is 1994.
Okay.
And I was living with 3 dudes in a rented house in La Cañada, California. And I had a girlfriend that was newish, maybe 3 or 4, maybe been dating for like a month and a half or something like that. But she had a place in Studio City, had an apartment, and she also worked on Ventura Boulevard in Studio City at the Rainforest Cafe, I think it was. And her mom was slated to come out from Minnesota to visit her and stay with her in her apartment. I drove a piece of shit Isuzu Trooper. She drove a piece of shit like Nissan Sentra. She came over to my house in La Cañada, La Crescenta, and her car like blew a head gasket. And we didn't have money to fix her car. So she had no transportation, and her car blew up in front of my house. Her mom was on her way out here from Minnesota when the earthquake hit, the 94 earthquake hit. 94 earthquake hit, destroyed her apartment building. It got red flagged, it got like red taped, and her job got destroyed too. Put the red tape in front of the building. So she had no job, she had no place to go, she had no car. My job got red flagged. I was working in the basement in a gym, a boxing gym in the basement. My job got red. I had no money. She had no money. We had no jobs. And her mom was coming out. It was already coming out. And her mom had no money. And her mom, who was going to stay with her at her house, at her apartment, now had to stay at my place. So I had my 2 roommates and then her. And now her mom's coming. And the earthquake, I never knew the answer to this, but it unleashed some disease that I caught. And there's an email, and I don't know who has it. Dawson has the email.
The email says, Adam, I've been listening to your first 4 years of Loveline episodes. They are great. I heard your story, December 1998, about the 94 earthquake and the weird virus you caught when your girlfriend was forced to stay at your apartment because her place was crushed and her car broke down. I guess you weren't the only one. The spores were released from landslides, and Simi Valley had the highest infection rate in the country. I thought it was an interesting story. I wouldn't mind hearing more of your earthquake repair gigs and stuff like that, but here's what the public health thing says. Following the 17 January 1994 Northridge, California earthquake, Ventura County, California experienced a major outbreak of coccidioides, commonly known as valley fever, a respiratory disease contracted by inhaling airborne fungal spores.
I woke up every night at 4 a.m, drenched in sweat. I had lesions all over my face and tongue and mouth. I had no doctor, no insurance. Ugh. I did nothing. I didn't take antibiotics. I just had lesions on my face. Woke up drenched in sweat every single night. And at some point, my girlfriend's mom knocked on the door. And I just, in a bathrobe, like covered with sweat with lesions on my face, like opened the door. And she just looked at me and she went, oh, no fucking way. Like, no way. Where's my daughter? And I was like, ma'am, I'm in no fucking mood for this conversation. And she's like, well, you can fuck right off. And I was like, fuck you. You don't know what I've been fucking through the last 3 days. My life is ruined. Go fucking stay at a hotel then, bitch. She's like, I don't have any money. She's, what the fuck happened to your face? Like, what are you doing to my daughter? And I was like, I got no time You can come in and sleep on the fucking sofa if you shut the fuck up. I can't deal with any of this right now. Her fucking car's broken down. No one has a job. No one has a penny. No one has any insurance. And I don't need you up my fucking ass, bitch. And poor my girlfriend was like, what happened? You guys talked to each other for 10 seconds. You're already screaming at each other. I think she came in and camped out on the sofa. The point is for the next 20 some odd years and years. So then when I got insurance and I got money and I met Dr. Drew, I would keep saying to him, Drew, I had this horrible disease. I wake up covered with sweat. I had these lesions like on my face, on my tongue and stuff. And he'd always go, oh, you got herpes. And I go, I don't think I have herpes. And he'd go, oh, you got herpes. And I go, but how did I get herpes? My girlfriend didn't have herpes. She didn't have anything. And we were like living together. Not on purpose, but then I just woke up. He said, listen, let me tell you what herpes is. You get it, you get the fever, you get the sweat, you get the thing, then you get the lesions. You got herpes. And I was like, listen, I don't think I got herpes. But he's like, there's nothing else. I mean, you got herpes. That's all. You got herpes. You have herpes. And I was like, and that was it. And then for 25 years,
you thought you had herpes.
I had to live with that silent shame. But thank God for this fucking hero doctor who told me there were crazy spores that were unleashed, and I got the fever. I got the valley fever.
Did you get vindicated by Drew?
I yelled at him like 2 days ago. I was like, hey, some doctor told me about these spores of menophynococcus or whatever. And he went, oh, yeah, that could be it. It's like, fuck you. Fuck you and your bedside manner. You could have put that option on the table 26 years ago. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Steve-O. We'll do some news right after this.
You're about to hear a preview of The Jordan Harbinger Show with a skilled art forger who made millions selling his fakes.
I was a storehouse of knowledge of how to create an illusion, present it to an experienced expert, and bring him to the inevitable conclusion that the painting is genuine. We flooded the market with my paintings, and eventually the FBI were led to my door. They uncovered a mountain of evidence against me.
But they never actually got you. Why did it go away? Why did you never get indicted? And how are we having this conversation?
I guess that's the greatest story of all.
To hear details of how Ken Perenni evaded the scrutiny of everyone from the mafia to the FBI and lived to tell the tale, check out episode 282 of The Jordan Harbinger Show.
In honor of Jim Carolla's 92nd birthday, here's a list of all the things Adam Carolla will do before he dies. Stop a crime by throwing something. When a guy steals a purse and starts running, throw a can of corn football style and knock him out. Just one of the things Adam will do before he dies. Let's get back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Steve-O in studio. We're going to do some news.
Yeah, so we're talking about technology and cameras, live streaming. Well, there's this mom. She live streamed her birth recently, and 45,000 strangers watched it.
Her birth.
I mean, the birth of her kid, her fourth kid. So she paid for a professional photographer to capture the moment, just to show that labor isn't scary or gross.
Okay.
And a lot of people tuned in. So I mean, like I think her and Steve-O get along. Steve-O got a vasectomy on camera because she said, "This is my last baby. I just want to get."
You should have live streamed the ceremonial dropping of the load.
Yeah, I'd watch that, right?
Every 432 days, our family gathers around. Right after we light the Yule log, we watch Steve-O. Here's a question. What percentage of people watching were male versus female? We don't know, but what do you think? Now, there are definitely dudes that are into this. I do feel like there's probably more women. I'd like to think that.
That's going to depend on how she distributed the stream.
Yeah, I mean, but also due to lack of midwives, she had to be rushed to the hospital to welcome her daughter. She is a hypnobirthing teacher, so she's kind of been in the industry for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's screaming more female to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying how many dudes, like
tune in,
dudes
who
showing
click
up
that.
at the nude beach just to check out the titties, not really part of the lifestyle. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely more. I would say 90%, and the guys who are watching just happen to be sitting next to the women. Yeah, it's not really something because this happens to them. So I'm sure they would want to watch it because they're scared of what might happen to their bodies.
Yeah, this doesn't do it for me. I mean, I personally would not.
Well, I'm thinking because that's another thing with my generation is we are really encouraged to getting vasectomies. Right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are you?
Totally.
Wow.
I mean, obviously when we're ready to, but it's just so because you don't want the girl to keep taking pills or hormones or anything like that. So it's like, hey, why do I have to do all this when you just go in, get snipped real quick,
right,
and then we're done?
It is really easy.
It is.
It is super easy. But I feel that for getting a vasectomy, am the minority. I feel like most people are like, oh my God, why would you do that? And my answer is very simple. I have problematic DNA. I am very bearish on the world and the mega threats that we're facing. I just like to have my own life.
Right.
So I'm selfish.
What's your problematic DNA? You're talking about the addiction?
Yeah, on my mom's side of the family, it's 100% of the family tree. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, it does not skip a generation, doesn't skip a sibling. Like, it's 100%.
Well, was your mom an alcoholic when you were growing up?
Yeah, big time.
Big time?
Yeah, big time.
Well, how did it manifest itself for you?
I mean, every member of my mom's side of the family is literally dead from alcoholism.
So it's a big part of their DNA.
So yeah, it's just tough, And I think it's probably more just about the mega threats. I feel like that for my parents, a university diploma meant placement in a career of their choosing. For my generation, not so much. It was considered helpful but expensive. Mm-hmm. Now it's like you're just mired in debt, and what does it even do?
Yeah.
So the dwindling opportunity, the growing disparity of wealth, the mega threats that we face. I just don't want it on my conscience that I created a person to deal with all that. If I did feel compelled to raise a child, I would want to adopt a child so that I can take an existing situation and improve that, rather than create a new situation that's just a struggle.
Is that on the table, adoption?
I don't think so. My lady and I, we just want to have an animal sanctuary.
Oh, right.
Tons of animals.
Gators.
Right?
All right, what else do we got? Sorry, I want to kill myself now.
Oh, sorry.
I got kids. I feel bad.
So Hall & Oates.
Oh, man.
They are embroiled in a confidential legal battle that has led to Daryl Hall getting a restraining order against his former music partner,
Good.
John Oates.
I knew this would come one day. Vindication.
Okay, wait. I saw on TMZ this morning, Hall is suing Oates.
Yeah, well,
over music royalties is what it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, as far as the restraining order, there's not much publicly available. But yeah, I mean, Hall has gone on to diminish the collaborative aspect of Hall & Oates, saying
Hall's the blonde, right? Oates is the
is
brunette
this,
or whatever, right?
Is this a Simon and Garfunkel dynamic where, like, clearly Simon went on to greater heights than Garfunkel?
Yeah, who's the more talented one?
I don't know. I mean, I do feel like Hall does. Sorry, I got a cold. Speaking of Halls, Papa lozenge.
Could be the Valley Fever.
I think Hall seems to do his music at his house and brings his friends over to vibe and riff. And I know it's a TV show, but it feels to me, when somebody goes, "Oh, I love," they pick an name it, Paul Abdul or something like that. I'll go, there's some people aren't actual musicians. And it's the same with comedy. If a guy's a comedian and it's in his blood and it's what he does, then he'll be up on a Tuesday night in front of a half-full room at some club you never heard of just working shit out because that's what he does. The musicians are like, this guy's a musician, but he never plays and hasn't toured in 5 years. It's like, well, maybe you're not that into it. Maybe it's not really your thing. So Daryl Hall definitely does his thing.
Yeah,
so
he exercises that muscle.
Say that, yeah.
He even went on Bill Maher's podcast saying, you think John Oates is my partner? He's my business partner, not my creative partner. So, I mean, he definitely has a bone to pick.
Yeah, well,
okay, so
the comedian, I just got off the road, and the comedian that went on in front of me, the song they were brought up to was Man-Eater, and it bugged the shit out of me the whole weekend. I didn't get involved, but that fucking song is so offensively bad that it makes me violent. It
was a guy that was brought up?
Makes me angry, yeah.
Because if it was a girl, here she comes.
It's so bad. It's just, the fact that we have to hear it nonstop is insane. Like when I am making an argument to aliens about what the fuck is wrong with our society, if it's under 3 minutes, I won't bring up Man-Eater. But if it's over 5 minutes, I'm bringing up Man-Eater. I'm going, there's a horrible, horrible, insulting song that we cannot stop playing. Everyone here on Earth has to hear it. And most of the Dumbos think they like it, which is now we're getting some really dangerous territory. Fucking Man-Eater.
Well,
I hope
you won't
they
hear it live for a
sue each
while.
other till they're both fucking flat broke.
Okay, so Hall is suing Oates, and Hall has a restraining order against Oates.
Yeah.
It would seem like one of those things would be coming from either side,
But
not
it's all
both.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So he's basically saying, I wrote all the songs, I should get all the royalties or something like that.
Yeah, he said, I did all the harmonies, that's all me. Oates isn't credited as a songwriter on Kiss My List, but he's listed as a co-producer, and Hall's like, whoa, I did all of it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like somebody agreed to something that they shouldn't have agreed to. I mean, how do you get this many years removed from
That's
it?
right.
So what? Like, what's right didn't happen, but what was agreed to got signed.
Yeah.
Sounds like, I mean...
Something must have triggered this event.
You know what might... Nah, nothing's worse than Man-Eater, but adult education is as bad because they came up with the title before they came up with the actual song. Adult education is a real piece of shit.
But then again, all those kids in the pink...
Yeah. And they tried to give you cauliflower ear.
Yeah.
Recently.
Right.
All right, who wrote either... And there's one other horrific song they have, which, by the way, the only thing that really gets me about Hall & Oates is people love their shitty songs more than they love their good songs. And that just fucking... You know who made a spirited defense of Man-Eater? Jimmy Kimmel.
Wow.
Now
I could see Jimmy liking Man-Eater.
He doesn't like it. This was just us arguing. It's like when I told him they gotta make yogurt with fruit in the middle. Fuck fruit at the bottom. You got to dig it. Goes all the way up your spoon. Gets all the shit up the spoon. Go fruit in the middle. Someone should do fruit in the middle instead of fruit at the bottom. And he's like, wouldn't work. I was like, why not? Because it all just sink down to the bottom anyway. I was like, no, it wouldn't. You just put an inch and a half of yogurt at the bottom, put the fruit in, and then put an inch and a half at the top. It's like, never worked. But at a certain point, I realized we were just arguing.
Sure.
Which everyone will do when they share an office with someone just to, like, pass the time. So I don't think he actually likes Man-Eater. I just think we were arguing.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to come up with a new strategy to find out who's worse, because I think it's probably all papered this way. It's Daryl Hall and John Oates.
No.
And then someone named Sarah Allen is also credited.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see how that happens without it being committed to contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's piping up after the fact saying, hey, man, come on, dude. Like, I shouldn't have, I signed it, but it wasn't right.
I wonder if Sarah Allen was inspired Sarah Smile. which is a good song that they have. They were a band that was ruined by the 80s. They were fine with the 70s, but anyway. All right. So what? Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Bummer.
Let them never perform together again.
Unless they get offered an insane amount
She
of
was
money,
in a
right?
long-term relationship with Daryl, so most likely that is Sarah Smile.
Oh,
I should
love
have been a fucking
triangle.
detective. I should have been a detective.
So Jim Irsay is trending right now because he's on Real Sports, and he was doing an interview with Andrea Kramer, and he was talking about his 2014 arrest for driving under the influence. And
The coach.
yeah,
Yeah.
or the owner, Colts owner.
Oh, Colts owner.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. He's not a household name. That's what
Oh,
I'm
right,
saying.
right,
So
sorry. Yes.
Set the table.
Yeah, owner of the Colts, 64 years old. So he was arrested in 2014, and here's what he had to say of why he was arrested.
Killers?
I mean, I'm not saying that. It's a fact.
So why did you plead to the misdemeanor?
Just to get it over with, look at, I am prejudiced against because I'm a rich white billionaire. If I'm just the average guy down the block, they're not pulling me in. Of course not.
Do you know what it's going to sound like if people hear you say they're prejudiced against a rich white
I don't care what
billionaire?
it sounds like. It's the truth. I don't, Andre, I could give a damn what people think, how anything sounds or sounds like. The truth is the truth, and I know the truth.
Yeah, so
Love this guy. By the way, I've told you this is fuck me money. Fuck you money is I got enough money. I'm not settling. We're going to the lawsuit. Like I could afford an attorney, but fuck me money. You just fucking say whatever. Say
Yeah.
Elon Musk has fuck me money. These
Fuck us
guys
money.
have so much fuck me money, which is so much better than fuck you money.
Yeah.
That they can say whatever the fuck they want. And
You know
by the
what
way,
that
he's
was?
100% correct.
Yeah, you know what that was?
Get some asthma.
Congratulations.
Get out of here.
Now get on that other field and have some asthma.
Also, I don't like when people get really sanctimonious about shit. Like let's put it to you this way. 0.08 is easy to surpass. No one knows that like Steve-O. He farts
Right.
and he's at 0.07, you know. Anybody who has 3 or 4 beers after the game or after the holiday party, whatever, anyone can get a DUI. And I'm not, now when you get multiple DUIs, we got a problem.
Right.
And I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying we shouldn't all go, oh my God, like it could happen to any professional, anybody's responsible. Like everyone has been in a situation where that shit has happened.
Correct. However,
And we shouldn't overjudge them.
However, of people who get one DUI, those people are like 80% chance they're going to get another one.
Yes.
Like they're
repeat offender.
I get it,
Yeah.
but Andrea, start with the attitude on my second DUI. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
all I'm saying. All I'm saying is we're making it like it's a big news thing, like what happened, and you pled. First off, people plead guilty to shit all the time just to get it just to bring it down and go away.
Yeah.
kind of thing. I mean, she shouldn't be such a sanctimonious bitch about it. But his answer is 100% correct.
Right.
Good.
And my question is, if the DUI happened in 2014, why are we talking about this now? Like that is a very recent.
Yeah, everything's
Yeah.
a gotcha. Everything's
Exactly,
gotcha.
yeah.
Well, I'm going to hear it
Well,
again. This guy's my
The
hero.
police department in Carmel, Indiana, was very upset about this comment.
Fact.
So why did you plead to the misdemeanor?
Just to get it over with, look at, I am prejudiced against because I'm a rich white billionaire. If I'm just the average guy down the block, they're not pulling me in. Of course not.
Do you know what it's going to sound like if people hear you say they're prejudiced against a rich white
I don't care what
billionaire?
it sounds like. It's the truth. I don't, Andre, I could give a damn what people think, how anything sounds or sounds like. The truth is the truth, and I know the truth.
Oh, all right. I'm going to modify. I like him. I'll modify my opinion a little bit. They will pull up anybody, like celebrity, rich guy, migrant, Mexican. Most of the Mexican guys I did construction with had like 5 DUIs.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, wasn't even a fucking thing. And they should get a cultural pass.
Irsay also told Kramer that he has gone to rehab for addiction 15 times and once nearly died of an overdose.
This is the same billionaire?
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, it was, but it's managed to make a lot of cash.
Well, I heard it was inherited. I'll have to double check, but
yeah, usually when you have billionaire with tons of addiction, you don't have super successful business plan. You know what I mean? So it makes sense that someone may have dropped the team off to him.
yeah.
All right, Jim Kwik, who's he's a brain coach. He's an author. He's a really interesting guy. Is due to join us shortly.
Yeah, personal trainer for the mind.
Yeah, has a lot of really interesting clients. Let's see. Novak Djokovic. Was Novak the one who wouldn't take the vaccine?
Yeah.
Fucking good on him, you fucking assholes. Apollo Ono, Quincy Jones.
A-Rod.
Very interesting guy. All right. Let's see. Should be just a minute. Oh, so people are going to take a minute. All right. So let's do one more if people are going to take a minute.
I saw something, a tweet not long ago that really kind of put the coronavirus mask debate to bed for me.
Okay.
The tweet was somebody said, farts go through boxer shorts and jeans.
That's
like,
true.
what's a mask gonna do? And I was like, okay, I'm done.
It certainly puts the gator out of business. That's for fucking sure. Yeah, and by the way, if that paper mask worked on farts, then every time I was on public transportation, I'd be rocking it, and that would have started in the 80s.
Right.
Yeah, and I'd encourage everybody to wear masks on their buttholes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, some fart suppressors.
I just wish that tweet came out like
You're so fucking right. All right, let's take a break. I'm going to say goodbye to Steve and give him a plug.
Yes.
Steve-O's bucket list. It's you can order it now. It's steveo.com. And
it's really, really something special, man.
it sounds
Congratulations.
amazing.
Thank you.
Steveo.com is where you go. Steve, always great to catch up with you.
Hey, man, always good to see you, and thank you for the support, the love. I'm a huge fan, always have been, and it's great to be here.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Jim Kwik, we'll do him right after this. I don't know if you guys know, but it's See Better, Drive Safer month now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. They have put a spotlight on items to help you see the road more clearly. All month long, receive gift cards after rebate on select wiper blades and bulbs. If your wiper blades are streaking and smearing, well, they're worn out and they need to be replaced. But good news, you can get up to a $20 O'Reilly gift card after rebate with purchase of select wiper blades. Their professional parts people will install your new wiper blades and they'll do it for free. See the road better with new bulbs? Get up to a $15 O'Reilly gift card after rebate with the purchase of Sylvania Silver Star Ultra or Select ZXE Twin Pack bulbs. They'll even help you pick out the right bulb for your vehicle. Visit your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store for details. O Rewards members receive 2 times O Rewards points on select bulbs and up to 4 times points on cleaning supplies for your vehicle. Don't miss the See Better, Drive Safer month now at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store or shop online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Ace Man. How you doing? Been sending you voicemails, but you never answer them. Then I realized you need to curse. So fucking fuck, fucking shit, fuck, motherfucker, shit, cunt, fuck, motherfucking shit. Gun. See you later, asshole.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Jim Kwik is joining us via Skype. He is known as a brain coach and an author. He's got a new book, Limitless, and it's the expanded edition. It's available wherever you find finer books. Good to see you, Jim.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So you work with a lot of notable people, and we mentioned some of them. You had me take a survey / test before the show, which I did, and we sent off to you, and then you were going to kind of decipher it. So I'm curious what your thoughts on that are.
Sure. In the new book, we talk about brain types, and there are 4 animals that we related to. Kind of, once you know your brain type, it allows you to kind of inform how you could read faster, improve your memory, improve your focus, hire, manage, and parent so much more. And so, yeah, people could take it at mybrainanimal.com. It's a 4-minute quiz, nothing to buy, but it's kind of like personalized medicine based on your your genetics, or personalized nutrition based on your microbiome.
We're getting into that now, where it's not one shoe fits all. Now we're figuring out what your genetics are, what type you are. I mean, I think, and we'll get to this, and you tell me if you concur. I grew up in a world where you got shoved into a space, which is, I played a lot of football. I'm left-handed. I have a right-handed stance because I started when I was 7, and some old dude in a windbreaker yelled at me I was doing it wrong and kicked my hand out and went, "Put your other goddamn hand down, son. What's wrong with you?" And I was like, I'm left-handed. Put your right hand down. That's how I was schooled. You know what I mean? Like, school wasn't for me because it didn't work for me because I was like visual and I didn't read. And it's that way with sleep, you know. You go to bed at 8 o'clock and you wake up at 6. Like, some people are night people. It doesn't work for them. Some people take naps. Like, we spent entire society of just trying to shove everyone into some sort of template, and now we're realizing, maybe people are different. Maybe it's genetic.
Yeah, I mean, starting with school, it's kind of like the assembly line education, one size fits all, not appreciating everybody's strengths and the gifts, and how everybody learns different. I realized after 30 years of coaching people on brain performance, it's not how smart you are, it's how are you smart. And everybody has a different way of learning and reading and focusing and remembering things. And so we codified it, made it really simple. Kind of like what Game of Thrones character are you? We made them animals, so people could think of the acronym CODE, CODE. The C is the cheetah, and their primary trait is they act, they implement very, very quickly. They adapt very fast, and they have very strong intuition. The O are your owls, and those are very logic driven. Look facts and figures, doing their research. The D are your dolphins, and those are your visionaries. They could kind of see a future maybe other people can't yet see. Their traits are creativity, imagination. And then the E are your elephants, and their primary trait is empathy. They're very compassionate, good with people, the community builders, very loyal. But it also informs how we're known for, we have a big platform teaching people how to accelerate their learning, read 3 times faster, improve their memory. But I realized that you're right. Well, not one size fits all. If somebody's right-handed, doesn't mean also they don't use their left. It's just that's how they learn. But sometimes if the way a teacher teaches is different than the way you prefer to learn, and you're like 2 ships in a night and you pass each other, you don't even realize the other one's there. There's no connection. And certainly you could try to learn something with your opposite hand, but it'll take a little bit longer. It feels a little uncomfortable. Quality won't be quite as good. And so, we want to break that mold and really personalize people's personal growth and performance based on this quiz. And that's a big chapter in the new book.
So I turned out to be an owl, I think, which I like. I mean, I like a crow the best, but that didn't work in the acronym. Although maybe with the code, the first one could have been a crow. Either way.
Could have went cheetah. Or you would have went crow and ocelot, and then switched up.
So what is an owl?
So an owl has is a very they're deep thinkers. They analyze information, consider things from different angles before maybe coming to a decision. They prefer structure and logic. They value knowledge and wisdom. They're methodical in their approach and their choices. Whereas a cheetah is different. They don't spend a lot of time thinking. They act at lightning speed. They're very fast paced, adapt very quickly, make quick decisions. Dolphins are more creative and more intuitive. They talk about the big picture. Elephants are more collaborative. They have a keen sense of empathy. But it really informs, like, for example, a reader. If you want to read faster, cheetahs tend to skim and scan. Owls tend to look for more details. Dolphins, who are more creative, tend to imagine the story in their mind, thinking more pictures, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. Elephants are more empathetic, and so they tend to read from the author's point of view and want to see things from different perspectives. But even the way they communicate, like cheetahs are very quick to the point. They don't want to beat around the bush because time is of the essence. Owls are certainly more methodical. And you see this even in, take anything, Harry Potter. Harry Potter would be a cheetah, just acting and just in the middle of the fray. Hermione would be the owl, doing very studious and study and knows all the facts and could quote things out of books. Dumbledore, if was a leader in the school, would be the creative visionary, the dolphin. Hagrid would be the elephant that held all the kids together. But yeah, you can see that in Star Wars. You can see it in Star Trek. I mean, you name it. James Bond, you can see it also as well. But yeah, when people take the quiz in the book or online, then we'll give them a prescription on how to approach their learning so that they're using their dominant traits. So it's not one cookie cutter kind of factory, one size fits all.
Yeah, I talk to Dr. Drew about this on a daily basis, and we can't figure out what the hell's going on with people and their thinking these days.
Yeah.
And how I was just listening to Bill Maher, and Bill Maher was doing this sort of breakdown of COVID and how just far off everyone was on what they thought about, what's the chances you'd be hospitalized if you had COVID. And every Democrat they spoke to said 70%, or something. And it was, between 1% and 4% or something like that. Like, we are really getting way off the reservation in terms of thinking. I'm now having I have fears now, but we are missing a kind of pragmatic process that used to exist and is gone now. And I'm going to run a theory past you, and you tell me what you think. Back 100 years ago in this society, everyone had to think generally in the same way, because there's only one way to raise a barn, and there's only one way to dig a well, and there's only one way to hunt. And there's pretty much, these are physical tasks, and you can't be pie in the sky about it. Like, you can't say, we're hunting, but I'm not hunting because I feel like the deer, well, in my heart, I know that the deer meat should, it's none of that. It's get your bow and arrow, get your gun, get your moccasins, we're going at 5 a.m. Like, everything had a lane, and I used to be a builder. And when you build, you just build one way. Nobody has a feeling, or nobody knows in their heart, or nobody speaks to their building truth. It's just a bunch of calculations, and then you go erect whatever it is you're erecting. We got out of that world, and we got indoors, and we're now sitting at cubicles staring at our phones, and we all got educated, and we got off the farms, and we got out of the really sort of tactile, logging camp, wrench turning, barn building. And now we're in some ether world of ideas, and everyone's brain has turned to shit. That's my theory.
Yeah. And technology could be a big contributor to that.
Yes.
We talk about in the book, the 4 horsemen of the mental apocalypse. And the first one is digital distraction. These devices with every ring, ping, ding, app notification, social media alert, we're addicted to that dopamine fix, and we can't even focus. We're flexing those distraction muscles first thing in the morning, and we wonder why we can't focus, in meetings, in a conversation with our kids. Second one is digital dementia, where we're outsourcing our memory to our devices. I mean, think about how many phone numbers you guys used to remember, growing up, and compare that to how many phone numbers you know today. And I don't want to memorize 500 phone numbers, but it should be concerning. We've lost the ability to remember one phone number, or a PIN number, or password, or something we just read, or a conversation we just had, or someone's name that we just received. So your brain is like a muscle; it's use it or lose it. But if you put your arm in a sling for a year, it wouldn't grow stronger. It wouldn't even stay the same. It would atrophy, and I feel like part of our brain is doing that. Third one is digital deluge, which is this information overload. When we're hunter gatherers, we need to know where things where the fertile soil was, where the enemy tribe is, where the food, clean water is. But nowadays we're just drowning in information. We have more access on our phones than Clinton did when he was back in office. And so I don't think our brains really evolved to handle that kind of context switching. And so part of the challenge is we're taking a sip of water out of a fire hose, and we're drowning in it. That's why we teach people how to process information faster, speed read, those kind of things. And the last one, which you're alluding to, is I call digital deduction, just to alliterate with all the D's. And that's our devices are not only remembering things for us, it's doing the thinking for us. So we don't even have to think. I mean, you think about getting from here to there, everyone puts on their phone, they go on Waze or Maps, and then we don't have to build that visual spatial intelligence anymore because our devices are doing it for us. And yes, it's convenient, but it could also be crippling because we don't have to. Digital deduction, I came up with that term because I read some research saying that this generation actually has, for the first time, worse analytical, rational skills than the previous generation. And they're attributing it to technology with algorithms. It just kind of tells you. In school, it tells you what to learn, like math, history, science, Spanish, but there's zero classes on how to learn, how to think, how to focus, how to remember things. And I think it's one of the most important skills to master today in a world that's constantly changing with AI and just this digital overwhelm.
What are some, I think we agree, and how could it go any other way? And I think the two things that I've sort of learned in the past several years is your brain isn't just your brain. It needs a workout. And your gut isn't just your gut. It needs a workout too. And if everything has been digitized for us and mechanized for us and sanitized for us, then the brain and the gut aren't going to get any kind of workout. And this is why I've railed against Purell and all the hand washing and all the sterilization of everything. It's a bad move. There's down the road consequences that we're not thinking of right now. They're already sort of coming home to roost, and there's going to be more of it. And so it's basically us thinking we're evolving, but actually hurting kids and hurting ourselves in the process of this evolution that we think is toward the light, but the light is a train coming the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, kids, certainly this generation is overprotected. We could hurt, people's feelings or over-sanitize things. And, human beings are the ultimate adaptation machines. But we're not getting the stresses. And if we're overprotected, we're not evolving, because the only way to build a muscle is by giving it some kind of stress or stimulus. It's just like, even if someone goes to the bank and it's 8 blocks away, if we don't walk it and we just take a car, yes, it's convenient, but we're not getting you're not getting your body in there. If your office is on the 4th floor, your apartment's on the 4th floor, and you're taking an elevator every single time, yes, it's convenient, but it's also crippling. And now we're behind screens all day. We're sitting. They say sitting is the new smoking, and we're not even moving like we used to. And as your body moves, your brain grooves. It's so important for your mental development. Is just the physicality of just interacting with our environment.
Yeah, I noticed early on in life that when I was young, like 15, 16, I had a friend named John. He lived down the street. And our greatest love, and this is pre-video games and all that other stuff I wouldn't have had. Well, to be fair, video games existed, but not for the Carollas, because they cost money. If it costs money, plugs in, or brings joy, if you check any of those boxes, it's not coming to the Carolla house. And John and I would go on these marathon walks almost every night. It'd be 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and we just walk 5 miles around North Hollywood, and we just walk and we would talk. And it was so simple but so satisfying, and you really looked forward to it. You'd get excited, like now if you were going to a concert or a ball game or a movie or something. But I always got that walking and talking were much better than sitting and talking. And then at some point, one of my friends read to me a study about the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere and how your body shifting right to left aids that process. And it made sense, because I just realized some of the best conversations I've had were walk related.
Yeah, we do a lot of our meetings through walking. I do most of my phone calls, just trying to stack doing that while I'm getting my steps in, walking around the neighborhood, walking down the block, because as your body moves, your brain grooves. Actually, when you exercise, you create something called brain-derived neurotropic factors, BDNF, which is like fertilizer for your brain, for neuroplasticity, neurogenesis, our brain's ability to make new connections and create new brain cells. But it's absolutely critical. The number one reason you have a brain is to control your movement. You see this even in child development as they learn how to crawl. It's so very important, because those cross laterals, literally below the neck, half your brain controls the other side of your body, and vice versa. And by using your body in different ways, even if you challenge yourself to brush your teeth with the opposite hand or eat with the opposite hand, it stimulates the opposite side of your brain. And also it forces you to be present in a world where we're constantly distracted. I really think that focus is more like a muscle. And it's the challenge is that the first thing you pick up in the morning is your phone. You're rewiring your brain for two things that's hurting your productivity, your performance, and your peace. Number one, for distraction. We already talked about that because every like, share, cat video, whatever, it's just driven us to distraction. But the second thing is when we're in that relaxed state, when we first wake up, we're rewiring our brain for reaction, meaning if you're just responding to emails and fighting fires and one voice message could kind of throw off your mood the entire day, as opposed to being proactive and leading and just saying, hey, this is what I want to be able to do today. And because I think it's not even about time management, it's more about mind management and priority management. The most important thing is to keep the most important thing the most important thing. But so many people have so many different windows open in their mind and they wonder why they're depleted just after a couple hours of work. Right. Just because our brains aren't getting the nutrition or it's not getting the proper exercise and fitness.
Well, maybe this is the owl in me talking, but there's two ways you can approach your phone. There are people who it will create anxiety if they can't access their phone. Like you said, they wake up, they look at their phone, they can't leave the house without the phone. My wiring is the phone creates anxiety. I go the opposite way with my phone. I'm sit in this studio every day for 2 hours, and I've never brought my phone inside of the studio. Yeah. And not only is my phone not in the studio, it's off. I don't turn it to sleep. I literally shut it. Now, I'm an idiot who doesn't know technology, but it's more of a statement to me, which is my anxiety is when I turn the phone back on, what's waiting for me on the phone, not having access to my phone. Because I can make a pretty good argument that I'm smarter than you are because I would rather avoid whatever's on that phone waiting for me, whatever piece of horrible news awaits my attention. So I literally have anxiety because of the phone.
Yeah, it's driving people. I mean, think about, overload, distraction, reaction, that digital dimension, deduction. I mean, all the context switching, it's exhausting going through just scrolling, doom scrolling all around, comparing, your life to everyone else's life, a highlight trailer. I mean, there's some real challenges. My approach with technology is not necessarily good or bad. It's just how it's applied. Like fire is an early form of technology. It could cook your food or it could burn down your home. It's just how it's used. My challenge with our devices, and I'm sure some of your listeners can relate, is when we pick up our phone out of boredom or just habit, right? We can't go more than just 60 seconds without touching those devices. It's always within arm's length. Then technology is a tool for us to use. But if the technology is using us, then who becomes the tool? Then we become the tool. And it just feels like it's a little bit backwards. So I think sometimes it's very important for all of us to take some time to disconnect, to reconnect, right? Our brains aren't meant to be, connected completely all the time. And every so often we need to take time to recover and refresh. And, I understand people's impetus to stay plugged in all the time, but you're right. I mean, I'm in my 50s. We didn't grow up with cell phones, right? It's what's really concerning is seeing these kids on these devices, and it's like crack, right? If you take that device away and they just go hysterical because they just don't know what to do with themselves with all the flashing lights and noises and all the challenges there. So it's a tough situation.
My disappointment with technology is I always thought, I guess the early uses of the computer, so back in the day, pre all this, you'd get into some dispute. I once argued with Jimmy Kimmel that Steve Yeager, the catcher for the Dodgers, had more than 20 home runs in one season, the Dodgers. I thought he was a home run hitter. He wasn't. Jimmy said under, I think 18 was like the best that Steve Yeager, catcher for the Dodgers, had. But you'd have to go find some baseball almanac and look it up. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then it all became in the palm of our hands. Now, if Jimmy and I had that argument today, it would be settled in less than 3 minutes because he would just punch it into his phone. And then I thought, well, that's good because this is going to settle a lot of arguments. So I thought this device was going to work. And then COVID came around and, Ukraine and Israel and everything under the sun. And I realized, we're not solving any arguments. We're having more arguments because of this device. I thought we were going to be able to figure things out. Like, somehow we couldn't figure out if a paper mask was effective. It took 3 years or whatever it is. I thought the phone was going to do that for us. Turned out expanding the argument. That's what I didn't anticipate.
Yeah, technology, again, it's everything before this technology, everything was local and linear, right? You would only know what's going on based on what's going on in your village, what you could personally witness and see. It was very local and, 30 steps linear. You could see out where 30 steps is. But today everything is global and it's exponential. And 30, exponential steps will take you around the earth. I mean, something happens and you automatically hear it. And there's obviously a lot of opportunities for misinformation also as well, because everybody has agendas. So that's even more of an argument for people to really invest in their own brain and just in their own critical thinking, their own ability to be able to step out, use common sense and simple math. But those faculties we have to dust them off because they're a little bit they're a little limp because we just haven't exercised those. And then certainly in school, they don't teach you that, right? School was meant to really create workers, people to just think in a very specific way, follow directions. It also tested only for what was it? Even the SATs was just verbal and mathematical, but what about all the other gifts and geniuses, kinesthetic intelligence, the great athletes, the musical intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, people are great with people, visual spatial intelligence, people are great artists and graphic designers and architects. I mean, they say if Rip Van Winkle woke up, the guy who slept for decades, if he woke up today, the only thing he would recognize are our school systems, right? Because our schools haven't evolved as much as the world. We live in an age of autonomous electric cars, spaceships that are going to Mars, but our vehicle, when it comes to learning, is often like a horse and buggy, and we wonder why we're stressed. Yeah. Right. And that could be a big challenge. But really, it starts with agency. And the ultimate technology, I still think, I'll argue for it, is just found between our ears. This 3-pound matter between our ears that doesn't come with an owner's manual, and our brains aren't always user friendly, but this is the technology that has created all the other technology. But, people upgrade the latest phone, the iPhone, their apps, and the latest whatever devices. But when's the last time we took time to upgrade the most important technology that's created all other technology?
So
go ahead.
So we're nearing the end of the year, so a lot of people are thinking about New Year's resolutions. Is there a daily lifestyle change that you recommend that would be beneficial for the brain?
Yeah, I mean, we know that resolutions don't work.
Right.
January 1st is such an arbitrary day, right? I believe that first you create your habits, then your habits create you. You create your habits of doing, whether it's movement or eating good food or taking time away from your phone and being out in nature. And then those habits certainly create you back. One habit to get into is just asking yourself, because again, if you were, let's say, given a car when you were driving age and that was for free, and that was your one car that you had for the rest of your life, how well would we maintain that car? Well, we were given this body, and part of that body is its brain, and this is the vehicle we have going through life. So how well can we? And nobody does it perfect, right? But I really do believe that. Even asking ourselves a question, is this good for my brain or is this bad for my brain? I always wear a brain on my chest, or people see me on social media, I'm always pointing to my brain, because what we see, we take care of. You see your skin or your car, your clothes, whatever, your home, because it's in your awareness all the time, but we don't see the thing all the time that takes care of us, which is our brain. And so I would say, start by asking a good question. Is this good for my brain or bad for my brain? I mean, we know that 1/3 of your brain's performance is predetermined by genetics and biology. 2/3 is in your control. And so there are 10 levers that could help you have more of a limitless brain. And this is something I'm very passionate about. If people see me on stages where I'll pass around a microphone in an audience and 100 people introduce themselves and I'll memorize all their names, or they'll give me 100 numbers or words, and I'll recall forwards and backwards. But I always tell people, I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's possible, because the truth is all your listeners could do that and a lot more, regardless of their age, their background, career, education, financial situation, gender, history, IQ. We just weren't taught how to do that. And the reason I know it's possible is when I was 5, I had a really bad traumatic brain injury in kindergarten class. I took a very bad fall headfirst into an iron radiator. And from there, I had learning disabilities. I was put in special education. It took me 3 years longer to learn how to read. read. I had migraines every single day as a child. I had processing issues. I just didn't learn like everybody else. And eventually, 15 years later, I learned how to overcome it. And that's what I do now for a living is teaching people how to have the best brain. But there's a very specific diet that's good for your brain. There's ways of optimizing your sleep that's good for your brain. There's ways of managing stress that obviously is chronic stress will shrink your brain. But going back to the fear part, this is what I'm really concerned about is there's an algorithm in social media, right? Whatever you engage with, the algorithm gives you more of, it shows you more. So if you engage with all the cat posts, whatever, they show you more cats, that's your newsfeed. Well, our brain has a similar algorithm. So if you just watch whatever's just gloom and doom and threatening and scary, if it bleeds, it leads, whatever you engage with, your mind starts looking for this stuff all over the place. And then you get put into this fight or flight. And then also it'll suppress your immune system or make you more susceptible to colds, the flus, the viruses, whole area of science called psychoneuroimmunology. But the point I bring this up is chronic stress will actually shrink your brain. So we have to take control. And I remind people that they are the pilot of their brain. They're not the passenger of their brain. That we have agency, we have sovereignty, we have this level of freedom, and you always control what you can control. There's a quote in Limitless that says, life is the letter C between B and D, where B is birth, D is death, life C is choice. That these difficult times, they can distract you. They're doing a good job for most people. These difficult times can diminish you, or these difficult times, they can develop you. But we ultimately decide with the choices that we make every single day. You know, whether we took our phone and put it outside the room so we could just focus on the work, or what we're going to eat that day, or how we're going to relate to people. And all those choices make a difference.
Lastly, what is a supplement or a diet? You spoke of diet that is advantageous to nurturing.
Yeah, in Limitless, we have whole chapters on something called neuronutrition, that there's certain foods that are really good for your brain. Foods like avocados, blueberries, I like to call them brain berries, for people who eat meat. The creatine in meat is so very important. People think about creatine as a workout supplement, but it's incredible for mental energy and vitality. Eggs, if your diet allows, the choline in eggs is so good. It leads to acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter, which is important for cognitive health and cognitive performance. Or you could supplement, also with these things also as well. Probably one of the most important brain supplements is omega-3 fatty acids. Your brain is mostly fat. And so if you're not getting it from like wild fish or sardines, maybe some flax seeds, so very important. So what you eat matters, especially for your gray matter.
The book, Limitless, expanded editions, available wherever you buy finer books. And we'll give the website out. Kwik Brain. It's KWIK.
Yeah. I would challenge everybody, Adam, if it's possible, take a screenshot wherever they're consuming this and post it and tag Adam and the team, tag myself, and post one thing you're going to do for a better brain. People get the book at limitlessbook.com. We're donating all the proceeds to build schools for children in need in Ghana, Guatemala, and also Alzheimer's research in memory of my grandmother. But the point of this is your brain is everything. It's your number one wealth building, asset that we have, and it's use it or lose it. So the book will help you learn faster, optimize your brain, and so much more.
Thanks, Jim. Important message.
Everybody.
Keep spreading it. All right, Jim Kwik, everybody. And let's see. I am going to be in Fargo, North Dakota, playing a theater, doing stand-up there November 30th, and then Nashville, Zany's Comedy Nightclub, December 1st and 2nd, doing 4 shows out there. Say hi to Dawson, November 29th in Austin, Vulcan Gas Co. And until next time, Adam Carolla for Steve-O and Jim Kwik and Chris Max Bada saying mahalo.